subject matters on ground, which is the things that people seem to be most vexed about of recent, include the new tax bill and the incarceration of Dele Farotimi, the lawyer, who also now goes, it seems, by Uncle Dele. In addition to these things, of course, we are closing out our year. So some year closeout related banter is probably also in order. Those are the subject matters that it seems to me require thrashing out today. Are there other themes we need to throw into that mix, or is that sufficient for a conversation? What do you guys think?
I think that seems to be the high point of Nigerian political discussion, at least for me now, is Delhi
Yeah.
and the tax reform bill. So, okay, maybe with the floating of the new refineries, new in
Oh,
quotes.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Before the end of the episode, we can turn to our oil sector correspondent. Anyway, based on the laughter, I guess we already know who that is. To give us an update on market
The sector.
trends in the sector. Yeah. But I think we should start with the tax bill issue, which is not to say that we should discuss the bill, the components of the bill, the 400 pages.
You
I
don't read
think we should, of course not. I've got much better things to do with my time than that. Maybe
OAG, I try my luck.
There was this
read
there
that.
was this video that was going around of one guy like that. I think it's on Twitter. That kind of
Yeah.
breaks it down as to what the bill will entail. So I was able to catch that video. It's just like a summary of what the bill will be about: the population, the derivative, all
Yeah.
that. So the equality part of it. So I caught
Yeah.
that. So I never get time to like deep dive.
I've read some of the analysis too, but like,
Yeah,
I mean,
I will never find the time for a deep dive.
Yeah, for crying out loud. As in, but that already tells you a lot, I would say. If you're trying to like create a new regime that's understandable to the common taxpayer, the common man, you wouldn't make something so bulky and opaque, ridden with, I'm sure, lots of contradictions and a lot of room for needless controversy, which I think has defined the conversation so far. I mean, you could argue that maybe I'm just excusing my
No,
laziness.
you're not though. No, because it's always maybe part of why I won't read it is part of some sort of rebellion. But I always find it always cracks me up when APC shoe signers, to discredit, critics or opposing views will ask, have you read the tax? Do I need to read it to have an opinion?
Yeah, especially one already knows how these people are, what they stand for, what they stand against.
What you want tell me? If I watch Ali Ndume for Senate, by the time we talk to, I know wetin they talk about. Derivation dey there, 60%. People are against it. What do you want to do about it? They're against it.
So I guess that's the entry point to me is a conversation about the conversation, as in it was intriguing to notice how people were talking about the bill, the patterns that emerged. Of course, the ethno-regional thing seemed to be instigated, or a new round of regional debates seemed to be instigated by the bill, with some northern governors, senators, northern politicians anyway, seeming to, I want to use the word divert attention, but that will already reveal where I'm going. But anyway, seeming to channel the debate towards a question of which region stands to win or lose from the bill. And yeah, naturally, somehow leaving out the question of which segments of the population stand to benefit or lose from the bill. So that was striking to me. I mean, I wonder if, there's more what exactly was the cause of that controversy or others that have accompanied the bill for those who, like us, have not read but haven't even necessarily kept up with the conversation.
What I think is everybody just, especially from folks that are complaining, all that, it shows that amongst the elites, there's really no national project. If some sort of tweak that you've been benefiting from is kind of shaken up a bit, it's not shaken up for like general gain. Let me clarify that. It just feels like this tweak that they are making is they've gone in to see how they can get more money or to ensure that, this system is not workable as it might like status quo or business as usual. So how do we tweak it up a bit? But the other guys that are on the other end, especially with this ethnocentric view and standpoint of things, is that this federal character thing that we've always benefited from is not working, or it's not something that will give us access to the kind of the line of money that we've been having anymore. So let's voice out against it. Again, it's elite. It's just elite squabbling. It's just elites going against each other. It's not that the centerpiece of the reform or anything has the people at the center of it. No, it's that okay. This arrangement of sharing money. Let me use the old national cake that we've been sharing. Don't come and start messing with it now. Don't change the agreed upon formula that we've, and it's just a contradiction of the system, because at some point with this mismanagement, it will get to a point where the system is not workable unless there are fundamental changes, and it's becoming obvious more and more, so if it is the system backing itself into a corner, making some sort of changes, but this change will affect some people on the right, some people on the left here, and so, it's just amongst them to figure that out. But I don't see, even if the thing passes through and it becomes law and all that, again, I don't see with this crop of leaders or rulers how it is going to translate to a concrete well-being for the people, when stealing and corruption is the backbone of even the one that they have in front of them now. That's like the centerpiece of it. So I don't think it will amount to much for the people. Yeah. So
I suppose we should probably get into some of the specifics, so just to anchor the conversation further, as much as, I think it's hard to disagree with that general picture. But, I guess when it comes to the bone of contention, I mean, what really was it? My understanding is, yes, as you mentioned, OG, that it has something to do with the sharing formula or the, so-called derivation debate. And what they're trying to share in this instance is value-added tax, if I'm not mistaken, which previously was collected primarily by the states, or at least the states understood it as something that they should be collecting. But then the money was being sent to the federal government, which was then reallocating the money to the states based on a number of criteria: population, derivation, which is like the extent to which the money actually, what percentage of the money this was generated from activities within a state, etc. So I guess it's just that derivation element that seems to have been tweaked. Maybe more of it is gonna now go to states that are vatable, whereas I guess the states that have more population and are consuming more of the vatable items are arguing that, as a matter of fact, because the citizens are the ones purchasing these items, then not that the citizens should not be taxed, but that the money from that tax, more of it should be retained by states with larger populations. So as OAG suggested, it's a debate about how to share. I was saying, of course, this excludes debate about other arenas that could or should be taxed. But yeah, I don't know if I've read that correctly in terms of the specifics. I mean, Mega, you're also the tax correspondent.
Ha!
We
Yeah.
turn now to our tax correspondent reporting from Ikoyi, Lagos. Mega,
Well, I don't know. So, but I think that maybe I need to correct you. That's if I heard you clearly, because you were coming in and out. So I think what the bone of contention is here is that, so this chap who is supposed to be a guru, and I can't remember his name, to be honest.
the lead tax consultant for the government, Taiwo
Yeah.
Ololede, or is it Olodele, I think.
Uh-huh.
Taiwo, thank you. So it's supposed to be the hottest thing since Heinz Big Bits, when it comes to tax. Has been working for about a year with about a team of professionals drawn from all sorts of places, within the Nigerian society. And they've come up after like a year with the new tax regime, you know, part of the proposition is to do away with even the nomenclature of the old tax board, whatever it was called, maybe the joint tax board, I'm not sure. But now they want to call it something else, whatever they want to call it. That's their business. Yeah, so I think they have four proposals, but then there's one of the proposal that has the VAT thing, which is the real sticky issue here. And they argue that the way it was set up or designed, Lagos was getting the larger share. So Lagos, places like Lagos and River State, predominantly or primarily, were getting the lion's share. And that's because most headquarters of either oil companies or headquarters of all the banks, of course, they Lagos. So by the time they do all the maths and abracadabra, what they want to with the sharing formula that was spec, you know, to it, Lagos they get the highest chunk. So that's not the argument. So now they've come up with something else, which then gives derivation maybe 60% with so part that I wanted to say maybe I didn't hear you clearly was I I so it's a state it's a tax VAT is for the states. So look what the federal government does is because it's easier to collect this thing centrally according to them is to take a percentage of it, which used to be 15% for federal government. Now with the new one they say they're going to take 10%, which is like a fee for collecting it in the first place and something that accrues to them, maybe import duties or whatever, VAT on imports or whatever. Yeah. But the board of contention now be say after most people wey dey support them don call Ali Ndume and some northerners wey disagree with the bill essentially, or who are most vocal about it, at least for now. When they don call them all sorts of names, say they no even go school and they no get sense, they no get brain, they no get the intellectual capacity to understand the fundamental. And everybody feels that they are an expert. Yeah, so it then turns out that Agora, this Agora policy, Agora, it's a think tank, I think, take some data to it, and then what has been revealed thus far is that the way the sharing formula that they've come up with now, the if na Lagos they get the lion's share before, say it was advantageous to Lagos. Now it is actually disadvantageous to 14 states, who will get less than they used to get to the old tax regime. 14 states, and that predominantly 10 of those states are in the north. I mean, what you call the north, but not central, not east, not west. One of those states, would be Lagos, which you argue your argument is that you're trying to correct the anomaly, and then River State here. But River State and Lagos State they're fine. Yeah, they don't need too much written be VAT to them really, to be honest. But some states where they try survive,
No, totally. I mean, I think that's kind of what I was getting at, although the connection didn't let me quite articulate that properly. But yeah, my sense is that the debate is about how VAT should be shared. It's not about whether or not VAT should be reduced or not collected, or indeed whether other things like owning a yacht or a private jet or a chain of estates across the country should be taxed more. None of that stuff is being discussed. What's being discussed is how to share, as OEG has said, the money collected from people who are buying toothpaste.
No. That is being discussed, to be fair to them, in a sense. Okay, so they are saying also that um, I don't know how much they tax people will get money before, like Ojius or Kalu them, Tinubu them, even Bajabi Amila them. I don't know whether those ones they even pay tax to start with, but they are saying now that they'll be taxing them 25%. Down good to them. I don't know what they could do things like Dangote pioneer tax status. Maybe that's the part that we don't know what they intend to do with all of those. But of course, yes, they say they're going to tax 25%. and then progressively it will increase, to about maybe 30% as time goes on, as it were.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay,
then,
but what are we talking about when you're talking about 25%? Is that income, as in declared income?
yeah, I think that's for income tax, personal income tax at a certain threshold, So, and even income tax, So,
But notice I'm talking about like ownership and rent.
and so even wouldn't company income tax fall under ownership too? Or so you're talking about property tax? Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. More so
Oh,
than
okay.
profits. Because what companies
Oh,
do we have? And then
oh, okay. Uh,
in terms of like taxing salary of Tinubu and shit, I mean, his salary is a fraction of what he makes.
no, not even salary. I mean, they talk about. I mean, they are companies that they talk about generally.
Oh, okay, company
Mm.
profits.
Mm.
Of course, it's likely that they're going to try to shift the cost to consumers.
Which is Ndume's argument, though, and they say no goes.
Yeah, it's promising to hear that there's some elements of the bill, based on what Emeka is saying, that at least are trying to like make those who are earning more, who command more resources, pay something more. But it's just interesting that, yeah, what really made hit the airwaves or made ripples, it's not, I guess it won't surprise many of the listeners. It's not the antagonism across those who are earning and those who are not, but it's this sort of, which region or state tends to, in other words, which governors will be in a better position than others. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess this conversation, one thing I'm getting out of it is that I probably should explore more into elements of the tax bill that do maybe propose to do something different with the incomes and earnings of the wealthy, right? And see if that actually will factor into a new revenue formula. Because if it does, I mean, I think that probably would make sense.
No, to be fair to them, you know, um, it's a progressive tax bill in some regard, okay, but there's a sticky issue, all right, and proponents of the bill want to gloss over the sticky issues, you know, uh, saying, for instance, that the merits outweigh the demerits. But anybody who knows Nigeria knows that Nigeria went to war based on how they take share money. And how money, how so even the civil war, when you drill down into it, at the end of the day, now when in fact this is probably not very is not known. At some point, Ojukwu seized money where they come in to the eastern region. In fact, that's what basically triggered the war alongside creation of states. So when you now start saying you now want to gloss over the things that have been always or have always been contentious. I mean, it just gives you an idea, the age range of people who are having this conversation, to be honest. So that is those things are the cocoa. It has the potential to split the country, and they be like play, but people they talk say because poor people no go pay tax. If they earn maybe 1 million a year or is it up to 10 million a year, you no go pay tax. How many people they pay the tax before? So there's nothing new that you are saying there. When you're saying poor people won't pay the tax, if it's that one, nobody. Even when you say what do they call it, self-assessment, people don't pay that tax in Nigeria.
But the poor people will be paying VAT, no?
Yeah, they will pay. Yeah, of course they will pay VAT. I agree with that. I'm just saying generally what in other aspects of the bill. And Ali Ndume's argument is, if you even tax the rich guys more, the guys who own the companies, the guy who produce the things that are vatable, they will pass it on to the poor people. Yeah, they'll pass it on to because so
Except if you also introduced certain kinds of legislation around pricing.
which is price control.
Exactly. If you initiated these policies within an overall plan for framework, then maybe you can deal with things like that. I mean, the main thing I feel like is an annoyance of mine about the debate is that, as usual, it gets polarized into these regional things. And I'm not saying that, okay, there isn't a question of I read the Agora paper as well, the opinion piece anyway. And I think there is a question of, oh, which states are getting more or less money that needs to be assessed, but that it gets fractured immediately through these like ethno-regional frames, and that it also means that we're not really having the conversation about tax justice on the basis of who earns and doesn't, is what's quite frustrating to me. Because I mean, again, the question of like whether we should be collecting VAT at all is not raised. It's kind of just presumed that we should be taxing toothpaste, or that the bank should be collecting these rates, the government should be collecting these rates on every like minute bank transaction. Yeah,
It's more about squeezing as much as they can out without improving like the mode of production. Without there's nothing transformative, that's now that this tax thing wants to stand on top of. If you're doing massive manufacturing, massive industrial expansion, massive, it is what it will stand on top of. But again, it is a bunch of elites that are not improving, they are not transforming anything. They are just rearranging the pieces of the puzzle with whatever algorithm they have in mind to just, share what they want to share. To me, I don't know what it is where they their mind. But again, initially, I know if it benefit the people. Because if you want to collect money, the one way they your front, will be say if you share it properly or manage it properly, and you're just with the manufacturers or industrialists, all these elites that have companies and the people that are earning so much and have properties and all that, we'll see some sort of transparency on what you're using the money for, But now you're on top of not doing anything and being opaque and non-transparent and stealing the money, you're still moving and further tinkering with the pieces. So maybe essentially I don't have any trust in.
Yes, I think what you're speaking. Yeah, I think what you're speaking to is trust. And which is very founded. Okay. Um. Yeah. But so because they will counter your argument and say to you that the new tax regime is going to be very transformative. In fact, they will go
Oh,
for yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
They'll go further than that and tell you that the way it's being structured, the way they came up with it, it's to push for productivity, okay, so that um, state governors who have sat down on their asses for a very long time become more productive, which is why they've moved um, derivation to 60%
As
as
Mm.
opposed
opposed to population that had.
that's some absurd World Bank logic. People who are hungry are like, oh, if
it,
if you put some people in a room, some coders in a room, if you don't give them food till evening, then the app they generate will be better. It's like some absurd like Homo economicus logic. Is that how is that how people like okay, so we had recessions where the um the federal transfers were reduced to states. Did we then suddenly see an increment in productivity of the states?
No, I don't have a problem with where you stand. I just wanted to so that we know that this is
No, I
yes,
get
this
you.
is
No, it's not you.
yeah,
I'm directing my vitriol towards as much as your friends on the communication.
No, my problem is that you don't gloss over what people say is their own problem with
Hmm.
you don't talk down on people because you feel that they don't know what you're talking about. Because as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah, which
yeah,
they've been doing. Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you don't even know what you're talking about. Me, I like to pray with my eyes open. So what you're saying is tentative, okay? It will, it's most likely going to. That's what you said when you removed subsidy. It's the same thing you said when you floated the currency. It will.
Which is why I find myself leaning in the direction of OAG that it makes more sense to dismiss this shit outright rather than to even get drawn into the like half-assed technocratic rather than get drawn into their half-assed like pseudo-technocratic debate. Do you know what I mean? Like
For the
then it's
love of
not
country.
about percentages or any of that bullshit. It's just about like, look, clearly this is broken from the beginning because it's like, you know, it's a class trying to preserve itself, basically, with no real desire to, as you said, transform the mode of production or to be more inclusive.
For love of country, you just wish things turn out to be positive in general for everybody with all this rigmaroling and acrobatics that they are doing. But these people are proven beyond all doubt and measure that anything that you give them, if it's cutlass, instead of them to use it to clear the land and plant something, they use it to cut you and hurt you. So anything in their hands is going to be transformed into something that's almost counterproductive for the people. So, and we are on our right to say so because we've seen it. Look at the subsidy thing. Look at the devaluation of currency. These things have damaged people and hurt their
so
economy.
you don't think we should give the reforms time to
They've given other things time. Like it's better for us to just stay
No.
and
I'm just
think.
joking. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you. Those things are fucking absurd. And
I mean, if we move just a bit beyond, getting stuck with this the derivation thing. Me, I even like what's happening. Me, I even like the fights that they are fighting because it's clear that much more than anything, this is Tinubu's one of Tinubu's, if not Tinubu's signature policy reform. As an accountant, as a taxman with all his history in Lagos, and for me, it's you haven't consulted. You just gather the team together, give them money.
Megan, he's going to push through this tax. They're going to make some minor tweaks to it. Then suddenly the northern guys who are making it sound like they're people's champions will be clapping like seals, and then they're going to pass this.
I
You
agree.
know,
Do you
because since
understand?
there's no
Then,
real
but maybe,
fundamental
yeah,
there's no real fundamental issue. It's just about percentages, which is a debating issue. You know, then like I think he's still gonna get it through.
I don't have a problem with him getting it through. Do you understand? As far as you know, he consults more. And when I mean him, I mean the guys who came up with this thing. Do you understand? And it takes more time because part of what people are saying, especially people like Ali Ndume, who, by the way, I'm not speaking for Ali Ndume, or it's not like he's my. I agree with him, because I think he's playing both sides, and trying. So this is like an opportunity for him to seem to be speaking for the North or speaking for his people, but I mean that idea of speaking for the North or speaking for your people is something that I don't even get in the first place. But at least let's get some pushback. So let's get those tweaks. You understand? It's not just enough for you to come and sit down in an air-conditioned room for like a year, and I noticed that Mr. Taiwo is gotten fatter. It's getting fresher. So they don't give you money. You don't so you now defend it. So they're now having town hall meetings up and down calling for, yes, that's what I want. So I'm not, for me it's it, uh, if you push the reforms, how worse can it be than your fuel subsidy removal? How worse can it be than your your but let's see that it's beneficial to, so it's not that you're shortchanging states, because you cannot be introducing something that removes money from the pockets of people in this economy. I mean, when I mean people, I mean states, so
No, but people are not states. I
no, I'm
guess
just
that's
saying generally.
no, but Megan, I think that's maybe where that's where I'm maybe getting a little frustrated with I think we're adopting their terminology here. Like it's not about states. It's about the price of toothpaste. And if it's gonna go up with no attendant cost, then it's less important to me whether that the the criminals came to your house and said empty your wallet, and then they started debating about who should get what percentage of what's in your wallet. So I'm thinking to myself, is the important issue the fact that they've just emptied my wallet, or is it equity between the criminals? And I feel like we're getting dragged into the equity between the criminals conversation. Let's make
Yeah,
sure that the criminal who's speaking Arabic gets 60% versus the one who's speaking English.
here's my thinking side, right? If you're going to make this about the people, the consumer, right? They would win. In fact, they would pass that thing without tweaking it, because consumer na ordinary citizens, we won't go fight federal government. No, but this is a test of federalism now. The state versus federal. That's what it is. Or some parts of the states versus federal. I think that fight gets more for the consumer, even if the states are trying to play to the gallery, because it don't affect their pocket. Do you understand?
Yeah, but the
Wait,
thing is, nobody's debating the VAT rate. They're just debating what to do once it's been collected.
No, they're debating on what principle, and this has always, so it's not something that is new to the Nigerian society. The principle upon which VAT should be shared, which is why the principle. So which weighting, which of the variables should get the highest or the largest weighting, you know.
Like, which
uh,
outfit did the criminal wear? Did they wear native or did they wear?
Mm-hmm.
And the one that wore native should take more of the money.
That's it. Should population, because if it's population, the North will get more because they get more population. You understand? If it's derivation, the South will get. Now, waiting then they fight with that, and I like make them fight the fight.
Well, I
at
guess
the
we
end,
clarified our perspectives
yeah.
on the issue. I mean, yeah, I'm aware that we have a couple of other issues to cover, and this AOG needs to run. I mean, let's see, what the listeners think. Whether they think the fight between the states and the federal will somehow redound to the benefit of the toothpaste buyer, or whether
Yeah, I'm
they.
toothpaste like this.
Yeah.
Now, aqua fresh, I mean, a Pepsi.
I'll
Maybe you
close
can
up.
tell that I've been traveling in and out of hotels.
Aha.
So now moving on to this Dele Farotimi issue. I guess the basic facts, as far as I've gathered, is that he wrote a book at some point. I think the book has been published for some time.
Never read
But
10 years.
No,
right.
if you never reached 1 year, Seth.
Okay, so it's a fairly new book.
Yeah, it's a new book because this guy that died, the head of Ramimba, I don't know if you know this Ramimba.
Yeah, the
He
radical
was at the
lawyer.
launching. Yeah, he was at the launching, and he died this year. So he
Oh,
never
that's
reached.
right.
Yeah, he never. I don't think so. He don't reach 1 year.
Yeah. I just say not
Okay,
read
but
10
then
years.
No. Now that first one we right, those ones before NSAS, those
yeah,
ones don't taste more. But this
Do not
one is
die in
fairly new.
war.
Do
the
not.
one
Yeah,
about
yeah.
you probably shouldn't die in their war, but I should. That book. Um, yeah, anyway, but so he was arrested,
Yeah.
and it seems taken to a kitty state where he's now being incarcerated, and it appears that um some of the allegations he made in the book concerned some big man somewhere, including Afe Babalola, another friend of the show, one of our long-term listeners and supporters. So,
How much you don't give us? I think the friend of the show. How much you give us? The friend of the
Afe Babalola is alleged to have um, orchestrated the arrest of Dele Farotimi, who is alleged to have alleged that Afe Babalola has committed some crimes as a judge. So I guess the big question is, yeah, what is to be done, right? And yeah, how have you folks kind of observed the responses by the public to the arrest? I mean, OG, I'm particularly curious about your take on this issue.
Me, I feel like being that Farotimi, he has this what's it called? Like for every person that works at in a certain field,
Yeah.
to a carpenter, every problem will feel like hammer and nail to you. So
Right.
I feel after the
To a
political,
dentist, every
to a dentist,
problem
everything will be like toothpaste to you.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
so that last election time, there were a lot of structural questions that popped up. His stance before the election, during the election, and after the election, he made everything seem so like just about the legal sphere, like, oh, it's just a legal thing that's the problem, missing totally the class ramifications, the class angle of things. Of course, he will go ahead and say in some of his speeches online, and the ruining class, all that. But I think he has not fully embraced the fact that what he's doing goes outside of the jurisdictions of law, that class society extends outside of the courtroom and outside of, the fair terms of legal engagement. So it's not so much about what is inside the book, but the class power that the people that are holding the book, that can change the book, that can alter the book, they can erase parts of the book or use the book to punish you.
Right.
Those are the things that he has not fully embraced or fully come in, understanding of. And these are the things that are being shown, or put forward to him now, because not only were the cases changed up or changed into something more serious, now he has another case with another son that's just popped up today. So the barrage of four, see? So the barrage of court cases now, they're coming from like higher ups. This reigning class now, they're showing him maybe the ropes of a class society. Like, look, it's not so much about when we go to court or when we have an election, just go to court. No, you have to know that you deal with these people and they don't fight by the books. Because I heard they served him and they kind of delayed the service, or he didn't, the thing that they used to summon him to court or whatever they call it. He didn't get it, but they just sent police in to grab him and bring him to Ekiti State. How legal is that under the legal framework or whatever? So, but I just hope that he understands with this whole ordeal that there's a lot more than robe and gown, and let's just be more serious. Let's know the real nature of the ruling class, the elites generally in society, and they don't fight fair. So let's start from there, and then we can move forward. I wish he comes out, or not harmed, everything sorted out, and then maybe recalibrate his political, views to being much more, serious and militant. Let me put it that way, so that we'll know what we are dealing with. So we'll know what we are dealing with.
Talk finish now. Talk finish.
So we'll know what we are dealing with. Let me just leave it at that. He's a lawyer.
No, don't leave it at that.
He's a lawyer. After all, the head of the organization that he's part of, that Ramimba, Radical Agenda Movement in the NBA. That's what Ramimba stands. I'm sure the person that is his president that died a couple of months will not stand for what he would, some of his views. So, and I know the man. I've met him one-on-one at some point. So it's not like, I wish he just comes out a bit more radical, and let's keep it moving from there. That's what I'll say for now. I wish him the best, and I hope that everybody stands with him, and he's free from all this elite oppression. However way he comes out, be it by protest or by mediation. I know there's a divergence of opinion online about.
Talk finish.
I don't think.
No, yeah.
I don't talk. Yeah, I wish him the best. It's really interesting, and it's sad at the same time that I saw him in handcuffs. He's a perfect gentleman. I like the way he talks. He knows how to express himself. I enjoy his oratory skills. I just wish he were a bit more militant. That's all.
Yeah, Mega, your take. I mean, are you going to join the protest, Mega, to free
Which protest? Which dirty protest? Who would they protest? Yeah, I don't even know where to start with the Farotimi, to be honest. I honestly really don't know where to start with. I just pray, I wish that, he can back up, some of the allegations that he's made, because from the look of things, this guy, it feels like a gang up.
You mean allegations he is alleged to have made? Just
no, how they're going at it, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so which one be allegations?
I'm gonna stop. No, sorry, please continue.
He not did the book.
He did the book now.
It is allegedly in the
Whatever.
book. I haven't read the book, but anyway,
Okay, I haven't read the
that was
book either,
that was my
but
last
I'm
one.
saying.
That was my last allegation. Please, because
Okay. So he's alleged. That thing that you're saying alleged that he was alleged to have been. He like rode from Lagos to Ekiti. He's winded, man. But you know, I just pray for his, not even for his sake, because I mean they're not gonna kill him, but it feels like a gang up. That's the sense that I get. But I'm not convinced that it's a gang up because I hear that people will get the impression that because he's been vocal against the ruling class or the ruling these guys in power now.
I
But
think
I
really
also
the ruling party. I don't know that he teams
No,
up with
that
us, but
I've,
I mean,
the ruling party, I don't hear. So I mean, like they don't. People have said stuff to that effect, but I don't buy that. That sounds to me like bullshit, right? Um, but so those are for me. That's it because somebody don't sue am for 500 million bail for Ekiti. Is it High Court? Was at 50 million. Then you go magistrate yesterday. So that's two cases in Ekiti, as it were. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how this thing work. They no gree grant and bail. So the next hearing. But I think that I mean I was saying OAG talk finish, OAG talk finish. I mean I wish OAG said more because he seems to have a firmer grip of these things than I do. But what kind of maybe not even it's not that I'm not excited by it. Maybe interests me a bit. What I was prodding OAG to get into is the fact that this guy seems to be a radical, or seems to be a radical, and that within radical settings, so, he's being looked at as a turncoat of some sorts. All right, so he's left. I don't know what his pedigree in the left is, but he seems to have left the left and he's gone towards P2B camp. So that online the fight with the online now between Showore people and P2B people. So make we call them as it be.
the interesting thing is like I don't think that I might be wrong here, but I don't think he has much of a history with the left in the left. I think
okay.
I mean when the version I've heard is that he is a property lawyer who actually cashed out a
I think
property
he
law.
messed around with Afenifere a bit, which is a
Right.
more like what informed his decision to be on Peter Obi's side was that Afenifere, as the Yoruba, Afenifere is a Yoruba political movement,
Oh, I
and
see.
yeah. So I think going to maybe in Ife or Ibadan, whatever of this university, and he of course the student union, all that. Maybe he might have participated a bit in that, been in their circles and all, but I don't think he's like a certified left person,
No,
and
No,
I
no,
think
no,
it
no. I
also
mean, actually, he has said before, and I've heard him
that
be
is a
like,
capitalist order.
"I'm a capitalist. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't buy this stuff that you guys are
yeah,
pushing." I think why, why,
but
why the left, certain elements of the left, anyway, let's say the social movement left, um, likes him, is that he, calls out the regime in a way that is popular. So they like that he kind of delegitimizes the establishment, especially the ruling party. Then paradoxically, they're the ones rallying to his defense at the moment, or at least wanting to protest in favor of him, demonstrating that they think that, protest is the kind of highest compliment they can pay you if you're in jail. And of course, they of course want to make the argument that they're defenders of human rights. They lock up Dele today, they might lock us up tomorrow. So that kind of thing. Whereas, they're also pointing out that on the side of the political party that is a part of a political movement, the Obedience, they don't seem to be showing as much solidarity for him at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, do they have an argument there, or is it kind of neither, it's kind of neither here nor there?
Baba, they don't get any argument. So I'm not protesting any protest. They don't have any hard argument. Both sides are fooling themselves, all right?
yeah.
to be
So
interested to hear from the man himself. if he's willing
Man.
and ready to defend himself. And let's have it. It's a legal. It should be an interim be that now. Now legal. It's not straight up legal war. So go at it. If you're making assertions in your book and all that, and you're a man, you can hold your own. Come on, like of
No,
course
but
people
how
will
about the
show.
Gestapo style arrest? Is sort of
Yeah,
extraditing him to state and all that. I mean, is that normal?
it's
Should we that's
it's a
right?
I think it's a
Then they
feature
show am to
of
them pass am now. Then don't show am to them pass am.
that's the thing. They will show you.
Yeah, because I mean, if they carry am for Lagos, people will go wrong come for am, quick with day. But they need am to sleep for cell. No be so. So even Peter Obi wey go intercede, he had to travel from wherever he traveled to Ekiti. So you wey even the people wey wan go so if I wan protest now because of protest, I go travel from where I dey go Ekiti go protest. For which economy?
For the rule of law, you're gonna make certain sacrifices. Uh,
After you, brother. After you.
like, again, you're not willing to make certain sacrifices for the rule of law. Maybe a night
You
bus,
know
maybe
they hear say the guy
book a
cash
Maybe
out
a night
ticket.
boss.
for property law. He say, look at cash out first, then I'll start
ticket,
considering all
the
those
one-way
other things.
ticket. You just head to Ekiti State, maybe book a hotel,
Hmm.
overnight there, catch up with some
Uh,
friends, head to the
one
court.
one one thing
What
that
kind of
we
protest is that? That's the one that is doing me in. Which kind of protest is that? I was hearing for a show where he said they go protest for
they go do for London, or they go
for
do
London where
for
they fight.
Canada,
They
they go
go
do
do
Look, I
for
for
mean, but I would
like
say
sometimes
that,
I think that Shore feeds off. I think he inhales protest. I mean that's my own. Does he inhale it? What does he get him high?
no,
It's what
but
does
look,
me.
I mean,
I feel
I would
like
say that,
it's
yeah, yeah. No, OG, after
guys.
you.
All right, I feel like it's essential to be able to have like a reserve of people that can come out whenever there's oppression and all. Fine, like if you're able to mobilize it, it's one of the thing that kind of stamps a stamp of approval that you have a movement that will respond at the drop of a coin to like oppression and all that, which is okay. It's not bad in its own sense and all that, but now that this person, the main aim is to prevent and protect this person from oppression. Let's do it together. Now we want to save somebody from oppression. Why are we not fighting inside among ourselves again? Because we want to save somebody. This shouldn't the first this thing be to save somebody, But however, I guess that is coming from Farotimi's actions about lambasting the Shore people about their stupid orange berets. They're always jumping up and down. They think they have the monopoly of human rights and how politics should go. Now that he's in the jam, it's these people that are up front now. So I think that's where the problem comes from. That look, you've lambasted us, you've messed us up, you've always been insulting us about our yellow berets that were jumping up and down. Now you're jammed up and we're the people coming, and your obedient people are just there. So like that's what it comes out as from the Shore side of things. But Obi has
Yeah.
gone there to talk to Affair and see what they can do. So it's just the background of that pushback between those guys is coming from what I've just said, because
No, sure.
yeah.
Sure, but you've got to also give it to the social movement guys that they're at least somewhat consistent, as in, despite the fact that they don't necessarily see eye to eye with Farotimi on all issues, and of course, as you said, he's lambasted them for their approach. They're still going to apply their approach to that very same person, and I think that's surely there's something to commend there, no?
And that's is that not what dialectical materialism or dialectical method is? That's what the dialectical method is, or that's what it's supposed to be, isn't it? Yeah, you know agree with something, but you go do something in support of it. But my own understanding here is essentially about approach. So I've not seen how this protest. In fact, the protest according to Shore didn't even hold on the 10th. So I don't see how his protesting solves any problem. Which is why you can't even talk to me. I don't know, it irritates me when I hear protest on basis of his ordeal. Okay, fine. That's how you choose to go. But somebody else chooses diplomacy. So what makes you think that your own approach is better than diplomacy? And on the basis of Farotimi's ideal. You want to do what? Rewrite the 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 deficiency in the Nigerian justice system. I mean, come on, man.
I think it'd be very interesting to hear from Farotimi and see how he wants his own, like, for his case to be fought. People on the outside, what can you do, and how should you go about it while I'm on the outside? But the background to that pushback between the obedient camp and the take it back camp that's what I've explained. That these guys they've been getting insults from Farotimi a bunch of times, so that's why the thing there's that talk between them and obedient camp anyway. But to highlight another thing that you Said and Emeka said is that they'll also show him, like, they'll throw a lot of uncomfortable things, mental torture, all these kind of things at him, because I don't know how many times he's gone to jail or what kind of court he's caught from, or his resilience. Part of the things that the elites will do to you is to inconvenience you, like take you to Ekiti, that drive, and then take you out of reach. How many people want to enter night bus?
Quite a beautiful state, I should just say. So.
Okay, maybe take you out of reach.
If you get a chance, you should
let me rephrase that. Take you out of reach.
Nice place, though.
Yeah, they will just put you out of reach.
There's like a waterfall there. There's a warm spring.
Maybe you can go see warm spring with that. Yeah. So
it is on top of a plateau. I can imagine the weather is very chilling this time of the year.
I get you. Yeah, the people there are really sweet, very special people.
So shout out to our Ekiti listeners, man. If you guys are there, I'm not, So, but what I'm saying is that they'll put you out in an unfamiliar place, in a terrain where it's hard to connect with family. You feel it's like part of the mental hurdles and problems that they'll put along your way, so that anytime you want to fight them, you will reconsider all those things, because I know his wife is in like serious problem now, in terms of like, oh, what should we do? My husband, the children too, daddy, like these kind of things are crazy. As somebody that maybe this is your first time in jail, in handcuffs, there's your picture circulating on social media, so they're just trying to teach him a lesson, and anyone,
TV.
What's that?
TV.
Yeah. So TV everywhere, like your picture daily everywhere, so, and if they have their way, they might want to really nail him, like, okay, your mouth is running, and we'll teach you one or two lessons with your assertions that, if you're unlucky or unable to substantiate with facts and like evidences. So I just hope he comes out well. He's someone that I enjoy the way he talks. I enjoy the way he communicates and passes. Even though I don't agree with him 100% on a lot of things, he still is somebody that is nice to listen to, and his command of, the explanation of things in his own perspective, his own way, and way, is okay, is nice, so that's it for me, and I hope it comes out well.
Yeah. Well, free Dele Farotimi. We certainly hope he's
our comrade.
Not the least because then he could come on the show and answer OEG's question about whose approach he prefers between the obedient approach and the take it back approach. Speaking of take it back, let us take back the remainder of the show from the discussion about Nigeria to the discussion about the show itself. I mean, the year is drawing to a close. There have been ups and downs this year. We've gotten our wrapped review from podcast hosting platforms, etc. And yeah, it's interesting to see what episodes of ours have emerged as the most popular, what fans, followers seem to engage with the most, and just the overall direction of the show over the course of the year. I guess, yeah, in terms of final thoughts as we try to bring this to a close, what do you think we've learned this year, if anything? What's striking you about the stats from listenership, and what seems to be resonating with the crowd this year, and what should people expect next year?
I think that overall, so let me start by saying that Spotify is getting a lot of flack for for not the format, I think the presentation of Wrapped this year, but I haven't quite gotten into that. So that's just on our side. But I think that it's commendable that Spotify does these things, and that they also give podcasters a way to monitor, the data behind the show, and that yeah, that each year we're growing in leaps and bounds. That's nice to know, especially on Spotify, even though most of our listeners aren't. Uh, I'm learning that most of our listeners are bourgeoisie, Apple carrying iPhone, iPhone 15, iPhone 15X kind of. I don't even know which one they now. Yeah, but anyways, but on Spotify we can tell that, oh, okay, this episode was a bang, at least relative to the year. And yeah, it's I think one of the things that we can take away this year is that this thing between three guys might not work for too long.
Are you ready to break news now in terms of?
Oh, the episode that, yeah, the episode that, I mean, the episode, well, the listeners will know, but the episode that went bang, this year's the one on Fumilayo Ransome Kuti, the movie about Fumilayo Ransome Kuti, where we had two female guests discuss, critique the movie, or do a
And where the
review of.
subject itself was feminism.
And then interestingly, um, there's this thing, I mean, it's there in the data where we tend to get. It's interesting that most of our, some a sizable chunk of our female listeners happen to fall within the 23-28 year range, and I have this theory that once they're interested in an episode, it really goes up. It really, I mean, it really does well. Yeah. So that's one thing that I have learned about the show this year. So once the female folks, and they're becoming interested. There are times when it was a dismal listenership from women folk of about 10%, maybe even less. These days, they do a tidy 20, 23, sometimes 30% listenership on some episodes. On most of the recent episodes, at least for the year. So I mean, I think um, we need to start appealing for them if we want blow, if we want be the most listened to podcast in, even though we're a niche thing.
Speak for yourself, man. I think what I'm putting out here is pretty mainstream. I think it's a mass market product right up there with demand. So yeah. um yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
maybe more sardonic than usual today because yeah, the year is taking a toll. But it was, yeah, I agree with you. It was very inspiring to see the uh what the year looked like, and that some of my favorite episodes also were the episodes that got a lot of traction. I mean, of course, we don't do the show purely for populist reasons, to be recognized, applauded, and listened to, but that's definitely part, of we are, after all, still human. So some of that applause, recognition, and plaudits um is touches the heart, I would say. So I guess, yeah, it was good to see that. Good to see a few people also come back and say that this show, it surprised them how much they listened to the show over the course of the year, or at least they were, yeah, they were happy to see or interested to see that it was one of the top shows. So that's cool. I mean, thank you for that. Um, and yeah, we hope we can do more to meet your listening pleasure. I think satisfy. I think your listening pleasure, if you excuse the expression. I think that one thing we could definitely have more of next year, in addition to what Emeka said, more feminism. more conversations about feminism with women and women's rights people, is more commentary about the show. And I think, yeah, we should listeners should be encouraged to continue to comment more, because yeah, it's very interesting to hear the feedback. We don't agree with all of it, and I'm happy that the listeners don't agree with all of us all the time, and we don't agree with each other. So but I think it's really great to make this a conversation that goes beyond just the three correspondents on the show. So yeah, that would probably summarize my feeling of the year-end feedback. Yeah. Any final thoughts? Do you shut this down?
Yeah, I mean, it's more in line with what you just said, So since we're talking about the expression, I'd say, the hope is that we drill like Nigeria is now drilling for oil. We drill for more listenership, especially from more commentary and more listenership, you know, and then yeah, hopefully we get a more refined, you, you know, uh, yeah, we get more refined episodes and overall more refined show next year. I mean, much better than we did this year. And yes, I mean, feel free to send us suggestions, what you think we can do better, um, why you start to listen and then you drop off after 5 minutes. That statistic is something I'm really interested
I think they drop off once OG stops talking, and the rest.
Or maybe when I start talking.
They're like, "Oh, I've heard OAG's take, so I already know. I already know where I stand." Yeah, cool. So that makes sense. I mean, a Merry Christmas to those celebrating. Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, happy humanity, human existence to the humanists
Hmm.
who the religious people are wasting their time, and Happy New Year to all of us, except the
Thanksgiving
Ethiopians.
on pause.
Yes, it has. The Ethiopians will celebrate New Year much later in the year, as will the Chinese. But for the rest of us, Happy New Year.